On another Saturday, I don't want to talk about another important cause, but under the circumstance, I think today is applicable here because I am honestly annoyed at a particular YouTube channel who I'm not even going to list because that just gets them more attention and more controversy. Attacking someone who I've had on this channel twice that we've done summits with in Hicksville and Belmore. And that was, of course, PinePowerLI. Recently, talking to John privately, I have understood in the past couple of months why he did not want to talk about mass transit and why it was making his state of mind in a very bad shape. I, for one, am very compassionate about the mentally ill, especially how, not just John, in my personal life, I have another friend who's mentally ill. And right now he's living in a community along the South Shore that's not accepting of him because of his disability, which I'm not going to get into. That's not important. Pretty much what I'm going to talk about here with you all on this Saturday, the 23rd, which thank goodness the calendar is right over there. Right over there. If you could see my studio right now, then you could understand what I'm talking about. However, this subject is, of course, about intimidation and harassment. Now, this YouTube channel, who again we're not going to talk about specifically, has been reposting old hate videos from, I would say, 2011, 2012-ish, around that time frame. And pretty much these were videos that John had deleted or privatized. And recently they've made a comeback, and I've downloaded them to keep for my private use because, you know, I want to make sure that these files never see the light of day again if this channel gets taken down. Pretty much in these videos that I have downloaded, two of them, one was John trying to do the right thing, and that was possibly reporting illegal immigrants. This was many years ago on Glen Cove Road by Northern Boulevard. I know that area very well because I used to work at TJ Maxx around there. And I know for a fact that you're not allowed to stop on Glen Cove Road because, number one, I've seen cars do at least 70 miles an hour in most cases. They actually speed along Glen Cove Road because that's a ritzy area and no one seems to care. Number two, this was when Long Island bus was still running, so that's when John probably took that video in the first place. So I could tell that was the old MTA Long Island bus logo, and of course he was waiting for the N27. The only vehicle that's allowed to stop there is the N27 at all times, even when we don't have the weekend service that area properly deserves. But pretty much John was trying to report an illegal immigrant that possibly wasn't allowed to be in the country. And, you know, this person intimidated him, the possible illegal immigrant. We don't know, but pretty much this user decided to use hate against John. And then another video that I downloaded was, of course, too much information we didn't need to know about PinePowerLI that I've talked with him about this personally. And of course, I don't want to have it on a public discussion. But it seems these hurtful words that was used against John was him being dubbed. And again, this was when John was still living in Westbury. I could tell by the studio background. Pretty much hateful words, harassment. And there was one hurtful thing I'm not even going to say that I've discussed with John privately, and I kept playing it back, and I was saying to myself, as I'm laughing to myself, this is so immature. Like, why is this happening? Why is this person doing this? This is so childish. I, for one, again, am completely offended that this YouTube channel, who, again, I'm not going to say who it is because other YouTube channels, the content creators, they're aware of this too. We're not going to get into the names because then it creates more controversy. But I will say this right now. This person is harassing someone who has mental illness. And that, number one, is harassment. Number two, I've actually tried reporting this channel, and the problem is YouTube doesn't allow third parties to get involved. I've even recommended my personal attorney to John on Facebook Messenger. I've even mentioned it in my Mineola Summit that my attorney is about a 15-minute walk from the Mineola train station on Franklin Avenue. Which, again, I'm not going to say what building he is in, but I've always said to anybody that, you know, you need something like the closest YouTubers who I work with in the community, John for one example, other YouTubers, Matt Camper, whoever needs anything personally from me. I always say, ask me personally. And, you know, in this case, I recommended my attorney to John because, honestly, he may have to go to court for this. This harassment, this intimidation that this channel is doing. And I heard that that little kid who introduced the videos, calling him, you know, fat and saying the B word. That's intimidation right there. That's harassment. And I know, again, I'm going to say this to John right now. I really hope you have your day in court, because YouTube needs to change. I'm getting annoyed how somebody who's been well respected here on YouTube, especially here in New York, for the past, I would say, I don't even know, because at this point, if I had to come up with the 2010 so far, I would say PinePowerLI is the #1 person of the decade. You'd have to be. And yet these people don't realize that. We're going to get into the accomplishments later on, because it's important that we talk about that. But the main point here, I'm very annoyed how YouTube lets this behavior continue. Making fun of somebody that's different than them. And that's why I kept telling everybody to subscribe to PewDiePie. We're going to bring him up right now. Because if we let T-Series win, then you're letting the big corporation win, which is YouTube. And you're going to let this harassing behavior win. PewDiePie is just one individual who deserves the subscribers that he got. I know I'm going off topic, but this is why I'm afraid of why T-Series could take over. They're going to let all the other smaller YouTube channels like PinePowerLI continue to get harassed and intimidated. And if T-Series becomes #1, then officially YouTube becomes a corporate bot. They're going to say, oh, well, PinePowerLI is getting harassed. We don't care if these other channels. We don't want other third parties getting involved like Andy's Randomness and other YouTube channels. That's what I'm afraid of. And that's why I made my point earlier. I really do hope that this gets taken care of legally. I really hope it does. So I don't want to see any more of this harassment, this intimidation of people that are different than other people. I really don't. I'm very annoyed about it. I've known about this channel intimidating John for a long time, but it hasn't gotten to a far worse point than in the past 3 or 4 days. Because once this channel copied John's own material, I was saying to myself, wait a minute, this video's from 2011. I thought John took it down. Or John's previous channel got taken down. And I'm saying to myself, this can't be correct. And then I remembered, yes, this is the video that John confronted the illegal immigrants in Roslyn. It made me annoyed how you're copying someone else's video and then re-uploading it on YouTube just to intimidate, harass them, and then make them feel bad about themselves. And I said this before, I'm offended by this because literally John and my other friend are the only 2 people I've known in my lifetime that have dealt with mental illness. And it just made me feel hurt. And I don't really want to see this continue. If something is wrong, you know I'm going to address it, because I just wish other YouTubers would get involved, because I was saying to myself when I first saw the video on Thursday night, I was like, you know what? I have to speak up, because it's now or never. It has to be done now, because if this particular individual, he knows who he is, who's been harassing John for the past 2 months, I would say, because this goes back to December. And especially how this person made a very bad commentary about the video from, actually no, this is back from November. Right, November snowstorm. I remember when John was at Hicksville the day of the November snowstorm, and how the part where he cursed was edited out, but it's not right that this person who lives along the South Shore is intimidating John. And it's not right. It's not just this YouTube channel. There's other people who I've discussed with John privately that have been intimidating him. And there's this one person in Hicksville who lived along the South Shore that apparently scouted him out and just made fun of John by the way he walked. And like, seriously, what is your problem? Like, I know I messed up in Belmore, but if you watch the video we did in Belmore, John did a better angle than I did. Trust me. At least I got my footage of my nice bus issue in Limbrook. I'm at a loss of words here. I'm honestly at a point where, you know, I want to see something happen with this channel. And I hope this channel that's been harassing John gets taken down. Otherwise, it's time to deal with it in the courtroom. I don't know what court it would be dealt with. But I'm telling you, something I'm looking forward to seeing if it ends up on the news. I mean, even if it ends up on the news, you never know with how Slamet and Trump syndrome are plaguing it. Speaking of courtrooms, I'll go into this point very quickly. Next week, we may have a verdict in the Ed Mangano trial. And hopefully, justice will be served for MTA Long Island bus. That's one quick point I want to mention. If there is news, I'll bring it up. But trust me when I say this, and I've even told John this on Messenger, please keep doing your Pine Barrens videos, because that's the one passion in life you have. My passion is, of course, mass transit, because I come from a transportation family. My grandfather worked for the MTA on my mom's side. My dad worked as a taxi and limo driver for 30 plus years. And I have to continue the family legacy. That's why I started this channel. And I just hate seeing this type of behavior on YouTube, where you get bullied, you get intimidated, you get harassed just because you're different than somebody else. And especially how it gets to a point where this becomes cyberbullying. Yes, I'm going to say it. This is cyberbullying. Then something drastic needs to be taken or reacted upon. And that's why I'm making this video. I just hope that enough people will talk about this. And if this gets out of hand drastically, then this particular individual may get called out by his real name. Well, his YouTube name, not his real name, because he's not going to reveal it, but his YouTube name may get revealed by yours truly if this behavior continues. And more importantly, YouTube really needs to change up their environment about third parties reporting about channels. I'm getting annoyed how I can't report this channel to YouTube and let them know that this is cyberbullying. Sick of it. So I can report cyberbullying about my channel, but for another channel I can't? YouTube, you need to change your rules immediately. That's where I'm going to wrap up my point, because I've talked for about almost 20 minutes and I just don't want to continue on anymore. But again, if this channel continues this behavior, believe me, his real name, his YouTube name is going to get called out. And we're going to make sure that this stops. We as a community. So I'm not going to let this behavior continue. Not on my watch. So, that being all said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I have known on a Saturday I've wasted about 20 minutes of your time. I feel bad, but this was an important issue. It had to be done. And if you stayed through the whole video, you are a real fan of this channel, and I appreciate you for watching. That being all said, thank you all for watching, and until the next one, please take care.